I have had insurmountable circumstances in my relationship, and now we've gotten to a point where we joke about them. If you're watching this, take this as proof the circumstances don't matter. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where I share with you the things I've learned from my own journey and practical manifesting tips so that you could be a doer, start applying, and live your best life. Today, I want to talk about a very important topic. I want to talk about why circumstances don't matter and what to do when you feel stuck. I will also share with you how I personally deal with circumstances, especially when they seem too real to ignore. Now, if you like my content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. It really helps me spread the message and help more people. If you would like to talk to me one-on-one, you can find the information on the About page on my channel. Comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. Now, without further ado, let's get started. First, I want to start with what tends to not work very well in my own experience. A lot of people, coaches will tell you circumstances don't matter because the 3D world is not real, or that is just a reflection of your past thoughts. Now, this could be a little bit crazy making. And you would know what I mean if you've ever tried to look at this world around you and wrap your head around the idea that none of it is real. Like, what do you mean this chair I'm sitting on now is not real? Also, if 3D is just a reflection of my past thoughts, I mean, first of all, some of these people tell me, well, time does not exist, there's no past, so what past thoughts are we talking about here? And my personal issue with the idea that 3D is in the past is that it always makes me ask questions like, well, if it's in the past and now I'm thinking a new set of thoughts, when is this going to change? It just creates a lot of unnecessary confusion and resistance and waiting because it makes you feel like your circumstances, your now moment is something that you need to manifest away somehow, and that they're somehow in the way. Ultimately, it keeps you stuck in the state of my current reality needs to change for me to get what I want. And that's what you end up getting, a reality that needs to change. Now, onto the reason why circumstances don't matter. A better way to put it would be circumstances are not in the way, or that circumstances don't have the power to create in our reality. What does? Your stories do. Our lives, I want you to understand that our lives are the experiences we choose to have from the circumstances. It is what we make of the circumstances, not the circumstances themselves. People could experience one thing in 100 different ways just because we all have our own unique perspectives. Let me quote Bashar on this. For those of you who don't know, Bashar is one of my favorite teachers in manifesting, and if you would like to read more about them, I have linked a summary website to Bashar's teachings in my link tree. It's the first link with the free resources that I recommend. And by the way, that is also a page that I tend to update quite regularly. So if you want to know what I've been up to, maybe check that page from time to time. Back to the quote. The quote goes like this. Any circumstance is actually neutral with no built-in meaning. You determine whether it has a positive or negative effect based on the meaning that you project into that fundamentally neutral situation. I want to give you a very personal example of this. So when I was younger, I had severe abandonment issues. It was so bad that to protect myself, every time I said goodbye to someone, at the end of the date, including my partners back then, I would just tell myself that this is it. That would be the last time I would hear from this person. And I would actually live that experience. Meaning, I would actually go home and cry when I just don't hear from them for a few hours. The circumstance in itself is just a goodbye. It could mean just another hello to a lot of people. It could even be an exciting thing. Because sometimes to miss someone with a positive anticipation for the next time you get to spend time together, that could be a really nice experience, but not to me. Not to me back then. And it was really painful because of my perspective on this. And I had that perspective because I had a self-concept of someone who was abandoned. I have since gotten myself out of that place, thankfully, and I now experience very different things from a simple goodbye. I wanted to give you this example to demonstrate just how different of an experience that you could have from the same circumstance, which in this case is a goodbye, just because you're telling yourself a different story around the circumstance. Now, a lot of people would also tell you the circumstances are reflections of your state of being, and that is sometimes, to me in my own experience, is not the most accurate way to put it. It's more like the story you tell around the circumstances are reflections of your state of being. Because again, circumstances in themselves, they're just neutral. They just are. They just exist. It can't tell you what is happening. You experience the circumstances with your stories. And you have the stories that you have because of your self-concept, the stories that you have around yourself, who you are, how you experience this world, and so on. Remember when Neville said to observe your reactions to the world? If you are having a hard time with circumstances, I could guarantee you it's not the circumstances that are the problem, it's your stories around them. If you're bothered by how there is no contact, for example, between you and your person, I want you to understand that the no contact, which is the circumstance in this case, the no contact is not what's making you feel bad or unfulfilled. It's your story around it. For all you know, the no contact could end up making this person miss you even more, and the time apart can make them realize just how you are the only one for them. Now, here's another way to look at this. Neville also said over and over again that you want to live in the end and that you want to start at the end. Consider this. 3 weeks or 3 months down the line, when you have what you want and when you'll be the version of you who has it, you look back at this moment now, you would know that nothing ever needed to be changed, because this exact moment is going to be what ends up leading you to what you want. You will have that perspective if you're looking back from the end. So if you're starting from the end or living in the end, that should be your perspective on your current circumstances. I also want to talk briefly about how to persist when circumstances seem insurmountable. Look, I have had insurmountable circumstances in my relationship, and now we've gotten to a point where we joke about them. If you're watching this, take this as proof the circumstances don't matter. But I want to explain how I persisted despite circumstances that seemed insurmountable. And in my opinion, this is the only sustainable way to persist in the long run. I persisted because in the moments when I felt like giving up, I realized that I had 2 choices. I had to have this talk with myself. First, I could be the one who decides what I get to experience in this life and who I get to be. And to do that, I am going to have it in me to change the way I look at myself and my circumstances. I have to change myself without banking on my circumstances to change first. Or if I'm not willing to take the first option, I could be a victim of circumstances and my old stories and get stuck in them forever and let that tell me who I get to be. And just live my life sad and depressed ever after. I knew that second one was not an option for me. I was able to persist because I wanted to be free. Not just for a person or a relationship or the money, but for life in general. Now I have to warn you, you don't want to persist for a person or a thing or a relationship. That is how you end up resenting the person and the thing and asking questions like, are they worth it? Is it worth it to keep persisting? Are they worth the effort? You know who's worth it? You, yourself. You are worth it. Do it for yourself. Now, lastly, I want to talk about what if you can't find the right perspective in the moment, because that happens from time to time, and try as you might. It could be very challenging to come up with an aligned perspective when you're in a lackful, fearful state, because that's what a state is. It keeps you stuck there, and any kind of thoughts and affirmations and whatnot that you can come up with from a lackful state, even if they might look aligned, they're not going to feel right. They won't quite hit the spot when you really try to feel into them. Feeling is the secret. Feeling is what matters. So if you cannot feel the reality of those thoughts and affirmations, it doesn't count. Now, the solution is this. If you understand that creation is finished and that consciousness is the only reality, you will know that this perspective you're seeking exists somewhere within you. It doesn't matter if you cannot reach for it or find it right away, or that you cannot feel into it. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to intend to receive a perspective that is more aligned. Don't ever attempt to think your way out of a stuck state. Don't attempt to flip thoughts because you're convinced that if you don't do that, you won't get what you want. I would like to point out to you that flipping thoughts out of fear, that is reacting. So don't attempt to think your way out of a stuck state. What you want to do is to reset and go back to the I am and who you truly are. It sounds so boring when you're in resistance. It sounds like it's not going to do anything for you, but trust me, that is ultimately what will make all the difference for you. You want to do that. You always want to start from a state of there's nothing I need to do, because that is the state you're in when you're in your end. From that state, you're going to let the thoughts, the imaginal acts, the techniques, the affirmations come to you, and trust me, they will. Now, if you've made it here, I would like to offer you the affirmations that I personally use when I feel stuck, when circumstances seem insurmountable, when I cannot see a way out. Remember earlier when I said that to the version of you who is already fulfilled, it will look back at the circumstances that seem impossible for you right now and know that none of these ever mattered. I want you to understand that this is the essence of Neville's technique. I remember when. So, if you find yourself in a state where your circumstances seem impossible, insurmountable, too serious, life-threatening, I want you to practice with me. I want you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, take your attention off these circumstances for a second, and just come back to your body. And now I would like for you to feel the reality behind the following statement. This is not the only way to look at this. I know that there is a better way to look at this. I remember when I thought this was a big problem. Now that everything's worked out for me, I could see that there was never a problem to begin with. These are some of the affirmations I use on a regular basis when I'm dealing with circumstances and I cannot find a way out. And if you have made it to the end, I just want to say thank you for being here. If this video gave you an aha moment, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel. It really helps me spread the message and help more people. If you would like to talk to me one-on-one, you can find the information on the About page of my channel. Comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions. Until next time, happy manifesting.